Coming up on Business Report Africa, Kenya Revenue Authority misses target by 122 billion Kenyan shillings. Egypt's central bank obliges banks to increase financing directed to SMEs to 25%. Nigeria's Ministry of Petroleum Resources in bilateral meeting with Ministry of Mines and Hydrocarbons of Equatorial Guinea. Central bank maintains key repo rate at 4.5%. Details on this and more after the break. This is Business Report Africa, brought to you by your digital First Pan-African News Network, TOS TV. I am Ruel Penao. The Kenyan Revenue Authority, KRA, missed its target by 122 billion Kenyan shillings. Massive job losses, which contributed to poor tax collection in January, led to this. A presentation made by the National Treasury before Senate Standing Committee on Finance and Budget showed that the taxmen had collected 937 billion shillings by the end of January, against a target of 1.06 trillion Kenyan shillings. Pay as you earn, PAYE, which is paid by salaried workers, experienced the sharpest drop at 25%, which stood as a shortfall of 36.2 billion Kenyan shillings. All other tax heads declined. Value-added tax, VAT, charged on all sales of goods and services declined by 24%, with the government netting 104.9 billion Kenyan shillings against a target of 150.4 billion. Excise duty, popularly known as sin tax, import duty, and income tax fell short of the target, ending up with 18.4 billion Kenyan shillings, 59.9 billion Kenyan shillings, and 350.6 billion Kenyan shillings. The economy has only recently reopened to an extent, and recovery has been slow, as most of the containment measures, such as the dusk to dawn curfew, continue to be implemented. The framework of the Comprehensive State Plan, coupled with presidential directives to support companies and micro, small and medium enterprises, has set the Board of Directors of the Central Bank of Egypt, CBE, on course to compel banks to increase financing directed to companies and micro, small and medium enterprises, SMEs. This are to be increased from 20% to 25% of the bank's credit facilities portfolio, and by December 2022, an additional 117 billion Egyptian pounds would have been placed in the sector. On Monday, February 22nd, the Central Bank of England, in a statement, stated that it had decided to provide funding to more than 120,000 companies and establishments. This would in turn create and maintain job opportunities of about 1 million jobs. Banks have been asked to develop plans to help in achieving the prescribed percentage, including governorates and targeted economic sectors, to enable a quarterly based follow-up of implementation. They have also been directed to pay special attention to small companies, as 10% of the bank's portfolios were allocated to these companies as a minimum, which would pump financing in the range of 55 billion Egyptian pounds for this category until the end of 2022. This decision integrates a large number of non-bank clients into the banking sector to support the rates of financial inclusion. Minister of Mines and Hydrocarbons of Equatorial Guinea, Gabriel Mbaga Obiang Lima, and Minister of Petroleum Resources of Nigeria, Timipe Silva, met at the Presidential Palace in Malabo to engage in bilateral talks aimed at strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries. To solidify new opportunities for the hydrocarbon sector for both countries, a memorandum of understanding was signed. This also gives room for the counterparts to collaborate on maritime piracy protection strategies, because security remains a major concern for energy infrastructure. The ministers agreed on cooperation across borders to enable easy supply of gas from Nigeria to Equatorial Guinea. This will serve as an opportunity for Equatorial Guinea's energy sector to boost its local content development plans. To encourage continued lending to the private sector by banks, the National Bank of Rwanda, BNR, has maintained its key repo rate at 4.5%. This will support economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Repo rate refers to the rate commercial banks borrow money by selling their securities to the central bank of the country. This is done to maintain liquidity in a case where there is shortage of funds or statutory measures. The rate was introduced with intentions to increase capital flow in the market. Now, compared to a growth of 8.3% in 2019, the pandemic had led the Rwandan economy to contract by 4.1% in the first 3 quarters of 2020. Recovery signs were evident in the second half of the year as a result of specific tailor-made interventions. Now, there's more coming up on Business Report Africa. I will be back after the short break. To protect the biodiversity of mangroves and fragile ecosystems in West Africa, an integrated program is being implemented by the EU to help enhance resilience to climate change in 9 West African countries. The project, set to span across 4 years, 2019 to 2023, is focused on the management of mangrove forests from Senegal to Benin, and seeks to protect mangroves in Ghana, Benin, Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Togo, and Liberia, signed in July 2019 with 9.9 million euros in funding from the European Union. The project is jointly implemented by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, the Five Deltas Collective, and the Wetlands International Africa. Implementation had been stalled previously as a result of the pandemic, but the project will be executed under IUCN's Coastal and Marine Program, MECO, based in Dakar, Senegal, having day-to-day supervision of the activities to ensure consistency and productivity. Jeremy Hayden Powell, 16th chair of the Federal Reserve, has said the U.S. economic recovery is uneven and far from complete. It will therefore be some time before the Federal Reserve considers changing policies that were adopted to help the country bounce back to full employment. His Congress appearance comes at a significant time for the U.S. economy that had preconceptions of a restart later in the year at the smooth running of the vaccination. In remarks prepared for delivery to a Senate Banking Committee hearing on the state of the economy, Powell said central bank rates of the United States are severed, and to materially ease financial conditions and provide support to the economy, purchases of $120 billion in monthly government bonds have been made. He made it clear that the path of the economy depended significantly on the course of the virus and the measures taken to control the spread, yet even as Americans are being vaccinated at a very high rate. Powell and his fellow Fed policymakers are more concerned with the gap in employment in the past year. Plans have been made to keep interest rates low and use other monetary policy tools to speed up a labor market recovery. More than $110 billion have been cut off Tesla's value after the dive in Bitcoin's price this week, which affected Tesla shares. Now, CEO Elon Musk's network was affected as well, with a loss of about $20 billion. This happened while slamming exchange-traded funds holding the stock. In February, Tesla disclosed a $1.5 billion investment in Bitcoin, and while Bitcoin slumped in prices, Tesla shares were down 7.3% to $662.3 million as U.S. market opened. As a result, exchange-traded funds ETFs such as the ARK Innovation ETF and ARK Autonomous Technology and Robotics ETF were hit, going down 8.9% and 7.3% as a result of their link to Tesla, who is their biggest single holding. Regardless of this development, Tesla remains among the Standard & Poor's S&P's 500 index most expensive components, trading at about 163 times its 12-month forward earnings, and short interest in Tesla shares still stood at 5.5%. The unemployment rate in South Africa's unemployment jumped to a record high in the fourth quarter of last year due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. According to Statistics South Africa, the unemployment rate stood at 32.5% in the October-December quarter. This means 7.2 million people were unemployed, higher than 30.8% in the previous 3 months. Since the survey began in 2018, this is the highest figure. Having the highest rate of COVID-19 infections in the continent, South Africa was in recession, suffering from higher levels of unemployment before it recorded its first coronavirus infection in March 2020. In 2020, total employment fell by 1.4 million people, and the number of people who were not economically active rose by 1.5 million. Marriott International, American multinational diversified hospitality company, has appointed Tony Capuano, who served as its former group president of Global Development Design and Operations Services, as his new CEO. The previous CEO, Anne Sorensen, had announced he would be stepping back from duties temporarily while fighting pancreatic cancer. Sorensen died last week. Speaking, Capuano, who joined the company in 1995, said he was honored to be appointed to take the helm of Marriott, but it is a bittersweet moment. Thank you for watching Business Report Africa. Do follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at TOS TV Network. I am Ruel Penao. See you tomorrow.